as well as the Italian alpine newts, or North Italian alpine newts I should say. Move across here. There's another little temporary setup I've whacked together with some semi-aquatic and aquatic plants I have outside. And there, oops, touched the glass. There on the side, you can see two little toads. They don't get very big. I'm not sure what types they are. So they might stay, they might go, depending on what they are when they're a bit bigger. Now, it's come from an old friend. That one there, you see a little bit of activity, has just eaten something, and they've just started to realise there is food in the water. Now there are actually two types in here. In fact, those two there are two different types, and one of them is green. Now either, I think I might know where these came from, and if I'm right, it's an old friend and an old acquaintance I haven't seen for a long time. Now he had a terrible habit years ago of ending up hybridising Bombina. Now I've got a brown one in here, or grey brown, and I have a green type. Now the green type, I'm hoping, is something called a Calabria, but unlike the dark ones that were going around that I got off of another friend, I'm hoping these are the lighter form, because there are two or maybe more forms of Calabria, but they could turn out to be hybrids, in which case it will go back to a friend's store. Now the other ones, now these are yellow-bellied toads, by the way. The other ones could be normal yellow-bellied toads, Bombina variegata. But if they've come from the person I think they have, he wouldn't breed something like that. Now the only other types are Calabria, which are always olive, so they're not those. The one I'm actually after, which I used to breed, is Bombina pachypus, specifically the southern form, but they're not those, and they're quite easy to tell even as youngsters. That leaves one other one which I did want to get hold of, and that is the one that's found in Greece, or at least eastern Greece, and that would be Scabra. Now if they're Scabra, I'm very happy about that, and they will most certainly stay. So if these two are Scabra and they're like the form of Calabria, I'm rather pleased I have them. It leaves me only pachypus to get, which is my favourite of them all. We'll just have to wait and see. The funny thing about these guys, for those that don't know, they don't get very big, and if you've got a garden pond, they're very diurnal. It means that they come out during the day. They like sunlight, and you'll always see them, unlike other amphibians that will hide away and come out at night. They're only 2 inches in size. They always hang around water. They normally scoot about on the surface. They've got a great croak that's not too loud. It's more like a peeping, or with some of them pooping sound, as funny as it sounds. And best of all, if you do have a pond, they do like sort of smaller ponds, sort of shallowish ponds. They absolutely adore mosquitoes and will eat them by the bucket load, flies and the larvae. So if you do have a mosquito problem, any of the Bombina species, even at this size, they will scoff down mosquitoes and the larvae like there's no tomorrow. Some of them, you can get these are yellow-bellies, Italian ones, although I call them yellow-bellies. The form I like, they're more of a tangerine with flashes of blue. There is a Chinese form which a lot of youngsters quite like, and a good beginner's toad called Bombina orientalis, or the oriental fire-bellied toad, which is brilliant green and black on the back, red and black on the belly. There is also a red-orange one in Europe called the European fire-bellied toad, which is known as Bombina bombina. Now variegata, that's the name for the yellow-bellied toad. There are 4 subspecies, but saying that, I've maintained for a very long time probably since I was about 10 years old, that they are separate species. So technically, some people think that there's 4 types of yellow-bellied toads, nor there's 5. Well, you could argue there's more than that. There are 2 types of the standard variegata. One's from Russia, a very dark, murky, dirty colour. The ones from the eastern end of the range have got much more yellow, much brighter yellow on the belly, much lighter in colour, more of a grey. The green type, there are 2 forms of in the Balkans, in the mountains called the Julian Alps. Quite odd, because if these guys come from where I think they do, they come from somebody called Julian, who does go down there, or I've known him to in the past. The ones from Greece are orange. The ones from southern Italy are also orange. Greece is scabra, and quite a big toad, very light sandy colour with flecks of iridescent green on the back. So like I say, there's at least one form of scabra. There could be 2 types of pachypus, but that's not confirmed, it's only theory, my theory of that. There are 2 types of variegata, and at least 2 types of Calabria vicii, and I've owned both types of Calabria vicii, and in fact I've seen pictures of another type that looks different to the 2 I've had over the years. The light form is normally like a sort of milky green or light olive colour. I've also seen a dark form which is like a dark olive colour, which I've also had and bred. But I've also seen another light orange, olive one, pictures of, with like circular black markings on them, and quite light in colour. So, you know, it is possible that there are 3 types, or maybe the light ones I had many years ago were just badly coloured ones. And because the one thing I've realised about these over the years is, to get the bright colours, not only do they need a lot of natural food, right, they also need an element of direct sunlight, but you have to be careful that you don't cook them. But they can take quite large amounts of heat, but as well as getting the carotene in their diet, there also seems to be a process of where the sunlight helps them use the food to produce their brightly yellow, orange or red bellies. I discovered this when I bred pachypus. Pachypus are amazing, they're beautiful tangerine bellies. There are certain distinguishing features as well with the undersides of Bombina pachypus, but I could never get the youngsters, no matter what natural foods I gave them, I could never get the youngsters as colourful as the adults. And then one day I had one get out, and it turned up, it grew to sort of almost sub-adult size, and I found it in my garden pond, and it was brilliant orange, where the ones I'd kept in my shed that were only getting sunlight through glass was not as orange. You know, so, and the only difference between the 2 was that one would have had more direct sunlight than the ones in the shed in an aquarium. So there you go, some little secrets I discovered over the years about these guys. There'll be more of this to come, because I have a few plans on meeting some old acquaintances.